If you like Montana bear stories, you're going to love this video. So it is about 5:30 in the morning and we're getting ready to head up to Glacier National Park today. Got our bear spray with us, and we're going to talk to a guy who was part of the night of the Grizzlies that happened in 1967. It's a night where 2 girls were killed by 2 different grizzly bears in Glacier Park on the same night. And up until that point, nobody had ever been killed by a bear in Glacier Park. And for full disclosure, the guy we're talking to is my father-in-law, who was a ranger working in the park that day, or that at that time, and he actually had to kill one of the bears that killed one of the girls. And we're going to go up to that spot today and check it out. And I've never been there, and he's going to tell his story. But before we get going, make sure to like and subscribe to our videos if you want more of these. I'm going to do more of these, but this one will be awesome. So hit the button down here and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell, and you'll be notified every time we put out a new episode. So anyway, got our bear spray. Let's get going.
I was 27 years old, 1967, and I was in good shape, ran all the way over the ridge, met a group of people on horseback coming down. I didn't have a gun, and they said they could loan me their axe. So I took an axe with me. You know, psychologically, they thought I might be better off with an axe. So then the helicopter pilot flew in a rifle for me, and you know, you weren't supposed to have guns in the park at that time. Well, I had one, so I was reluctant to take it. So the park said, well, you know, you can have your own rifle. And they went back and got it for me and flew it into me. So then a fellow by the name of Leonard Landa and the helicopter pilot came in. We all rendezvoused, and then we started searching the meadow over there for the girl. And I'll tell you the rest of that story when we get over there.
So here we are preparing to bike up to the trailhead. We're at Lake McDonald Lodge. Here's the star of the show.
Andy just wants to
wanted to be in there.
just
right
wants
now.
everything to be in the video. I'm just trying to get parts, man.
So there's Lake McDonald. This is McDonald Creek flowing into Lake McDonald. We're at the north end of the lake. Going over the bridge. You can see the waterfall down there. And we are headed up over that ridge line to Trout Lake.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is where we live. Angie, you know, Margie, David.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had to take swimming lessons in that water.
Well, this is where we brought the people who had been at Trout Lake that night, and they made the report on what they had experienced and endured. And then Leonard Landa was here at the time, and he and I went back up a couple days later to see if we could find the bear. And we stayed in that Arrow Lake patrol cabin, and the bear found us. I had the chief ranger show up at my ranger cabin in West Glacier, and he said, get on over to Trout Lake. So I came over here to the trailhead, parked my car here, and started up the trail running. And I met some people coming down the trail who said, yes, they were sure there had been a bear mauling because the girl was gone. So they gave me an axe, and I tried to, I got over there in a very short period of time, and then the helicopter flew in with Leonard Landa and the helicopter pilot, and we spread out and started looking for the girl.
Up then down. Go ahead, Dad.
Is this the fire from 2 years ago?
Yes, sir.
So all this trail is in a burn area, and it burned about 2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember, but it was the Howe Ridge fire. So you can see it's kind of wide open now, and just because of the fire. But we're continuing our trek up the mountain. Hiking up Trout Lake Trail, passing all the wildflowers, getting to the top of the ridge and down into Trout Lake. Let's hear the full story of the night of the Grizzlies. Here we go.
10th or 11th, I was driving over Logan Pass at midnight. I was working as a patrol ranger, and I was shuttling a flatbed truck over the pass. And I got a call out of the Clue Blue from Granite Park Chalet, and they said that there had been a bear mauling, but they couldn't reach headquarters. So I said I would try to reach headquarters, and they, and so I called, and then when it continued on back to my apartment at West Glacier, and next morning at 6 o'clock, the chief ranger came knocking at my door, and he said, "Bert, you've got to get up to Trout Lake. There's been a mauling." And I said, "No." I said, "That didn't take place at Trout Lake. That was at Granite Park Chalet." He said, "Well, there's been another mauling." He said, "Get up there." So I came on over to the trail that we're sitting beside right now. I was in good shape, ran over the Howe Ridge, met a couple of horsemen coming down. They offered me an axe. I didn't have a gun with me. And then when I reached Trout Lake, the helicopter pilot flew in with a rifle for me, and we fanned out because they said there'd been a girl mauled there, and we spread out. There was Leonard Landa, me, and the helicopter pilot. We spanned out and we found the body. And so then we had to hike back up Trout Lake and see if we could find any other campers. And we did, and we gave them an armed escort out of the area. From there, we all went back to West Glacier, made our reports, and then the next day, the chief ranger said, "Bert, how about you going back in, finding somebody that you want to go with?" I found Leonard Landa, and the two of us went back in, hiked over this trail again, hiked down to Trout Lake. Leonard said he thought it was like we found a lot of bear sign, and both of us kept wary eyes all the way into Arrow Lake Shelter Cabin that night. So the next morning, I got up at 5 o'clock, go outside and take care of business, and I looked toward the river, the creek, and there, peeking his head up over the bank, was this grizzly bear. It was raising itself up, lowering itself down, raising itself up, and so I hollered to Leonard to bring the rifles out. We had a 300 18-inch Magnum and a 30-06. So when the bear started charging toward us, we both fired. And the bear toppled back down the bank. We called headquarters and they said, leave the bear alone. We will be flying in an FBI forensic specialist. So he came in and cut open the stomach of the bear, and out toppled a bundle of blonde hair. Very, very tragic. So the helicopter pilot flew the FBI agent back. Leonard and I gathered our belongings. We hiked back out, and then about a week or so later, let me back up. The FBI agent cut off the head and the paws, and they shipped those items on down to the Bozeman Wildlife Lab and put the head in a box of dermestid beetles, which eats away the flesh on bones, in this case the skull. So when the flesh had been eaten away, the biologist there, Ken Greer, said that he found the presence of glass embedded between the bear's teeth. The bear turned out to be an approximately 220-pound emaciated sow, and that is what resulted in the mauling at Trout Lake. The bottom line, however, is that these maulings occurred because of the presence of garbage. At Granite Park Chalet, the bears were being lured in by virtue of the fact that the managers at Granite Park Chalet were actually feeding the bears in order to entertain their guests. The guests would be up in a balcony. At Trout Lake, the place had become such a dump ground that bears were naturally attracted there, and they ranged all up and down this valley and clear on out to the highway, and their presence was known, but it took a couple of tragic maulings to resolve this bear feeding problem. So the bottom line is that these maulings probably never would have occurred. These were the first two maulings ever to occur, first two fatal maulings ever to occur in Glacier National Park. There had been maybe 100 maulings prior to that, but nobody had ever been killed. It took, these two maulings were the first. So bottom line, garbage was a culprit. And the following year, they came back with large crews to clean up all the backcountry campgrounds, all of which had become contaminated with garbage. Moral of the story, don't leave garbage behind. A year later, I wrote a major story for Smithsonian Magazine, and they tell me that helped a little bit because I had amassed all this information for this article, and they used a little bit of my story and thoughts in there to formulate their bear management problem. And of course, since that time, it has evolved and evolved and has now become a real work of art. And the number of maulings that occur here now occur only if a hiker encounters a sow and cubs, or if a bear is surprised, you know. So it seems to be working pretty well.
Thank you for watching our video, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel so next time a video comes out, you will be notified. Our information is on the screen, so please contact us at any time, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.